Welcome into the Hot Corner. Happy Tuesday. Still haven't figured it out over here.
Let's go.
Still haven't figured it out over
Let's
here.
go to you out there, listeners, and you. Come on, figure it out.
Yeah. I don't mean to be all
I'm telling
morose.
you just need to stay with the for it must be a Wednesday, for it's always Wednesday, because it will throw people off. that are
Just say
listening.
Wednesday, though.
Yeah, and people are gonna be
What
like,
to?
wait, what is it? Wait, is it Wednesday? Wait, what day is it? And then you give them that mini heart attack that they think it is later in the week, and they're that much closer to the weekend, and then they realize, it's only Tuesday.
There is a great episode of The Office where Jim does convince Dwight that Thursday is Friday.
Best
Yes,
episode.
yeah, and then he's like, well, whatever, I don't have to deal with you after today. Tomorrow's the weekend, and Jim's
Jim
like,
goes, It's like that.
and then the episode ends with Dwight scrambling to get into the office.
It's pretty great.
I'm here.
It's pretty great. The only problem is if it's a Tuesday, but I make you think it's a Wednesday, you still like go to work the next day on time.
Yes, but again, is there? I feel like this is we are now the best part of everybody's Tuesday, but there is not a worse weekday than Tuesday.
You know, somebody told me today that there is more. So I'm back in the restaurant world, and we had a pretty quiet lunch today. And somebody said, well, there is data out there that says Tuesday is the most productive day of the week.
Tuesdays are the new Mondays.
Which is why people don't go out to lunch on Tuesday.
I would say that,
I guess.
yeah, maybe Monday you're like trying to catch up some stuff from last week and you're still in weekend mode, so you don't put forth that full effort. And then you're here on a Tuesday, or you're at work on a Tuesday and you're like, well, I'm in it now.
Yeah. There's
I'm
no going back.
invested. Yeah.
Monday I can kind of mail in for a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Wednesday, you're kind of like, all right, hump day. Like
Yeah.
maybe we go out to lunch today. Thursday, you're fully gone. And
Yeah.
Friday's a wash.
Wednesday, you have that optimism, like, okay, I think we can do it, guys. I think we can get there. And yeah, Thursday, Friday, no good. Whereas Tuesday, it's just like you are deep into the week. You're like, there is no end.
If you're
There is no God.
you might not be wrong about that. You could be
Hello,
right. I don't
God.
know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you think though seeing people drinking out on a Tuesday just makes them just like an automatic degen? I feel like there's one day of the week that if you're out drinking, degenerate needs that.
Well, you
liquor,
got to be
and that would
careful about
Tuesday.
that because today's my Friday.
And if you're drinking alcohol
That's
on
not-
a Tuesday, I feel like that is you might have a problem.
See, and in this
That's fair,
in
but
this town with a lot of restaurant, a lot of service industry,
Different schedules. Okay.
Tuesday being a Friday, this is what it's about. I don't go back to work until Friday at 3.
Patrick, I don't really judge
That's
you.
not true. I have the weekend off because I'm traveling.
Hey,
No
I don't really
T.O.
judge you at any point during the week sitting at a bar. You know what I mean? Like if you seriously Sunday through Saturday, if you're at a
That's
bar,
because you think I'm a degenerate.
no. I'm saying that you look like a normal person,
Oh, thanks.
but somebody.
Forgot my glasses.
I was
at
going to say,
home.
you have a hat on and you aren't wearing
I
glasses.
forgot my glasses.
No, I was more so saying somebody that probably already looks like they kind of have a sad life going. But then they're there at the bar on a Tuesday. Yeah.
You said weekend off. Is it Boise Rapids week?
Not Boise, North, but I am going to Idaho. I'm going to Idaho tomorrow.
The Ho?
I'm going to the Ho tomorrow.
Racist hoe.
I'm going to the Ho tomorrow. I'm going to my favorite part of Idaho where nobody lives and the people that show up just don't talk to them unless they're with you.
Idaho, as we found from that study, the most boring state in all of the U.S.
And I tell you what, man, I disagree with that heavily. I'm about to spend 6 days out there doing something that I find the most fun in the entire world. Hanging out with a bunch of my friends next to a river, camped out with no cell service, no city, no electronics, just chilling, rafting a river.
I'm supposed to go camping this weekend and not looking forward to it.
Dude, you know how it is outside right now? That's what it's going to be for 4 days straight when I'm in Idaho.
It's supposed to be Trillium Lake.
Oh, I love Trillium. Beautiful place.
Yeah, I'm sure it is when it's not 50 or sub 50 and it's not possibly raining and it's not like 35 degrees overnight. There's definitely a good chance that we bail on this trip halfway through.
I am currently trying to figure out if I'm going to sleep in my car or a tent.
See, we don't have. It's either my Toyota or the girl's a BMW, and those are not camping cars.
See, that's
by
why
any means. So
that-
there will be no sleeping in cars.
that's why you got to go check out our good friends over at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale.
Do they by chance like sponsor a text line or something?
Potentially 503-864-6326.
How about that?
I got a car that I can sleep in that I got at Vancouver Ford.
I don't even think that's a question. Hotbox that Bronco for a couple days. Enjoy yourself. Because sleeping on the wet ground, you're not just talking like we're camping. You're raining and camping.
Well,
so
I mean,
you got to tarp yourself up and prepare. if
I
you're
mean,
doing
I
it
got
that
great
way.
tent, everything, but the ground is soaking wet, so condensation sneaks through, and eventually everything is wet.
Well, don't you?
But I got more space.
That's
in
why
the
you lay
tent.
it. That's why you lay a tarp.
Right.
Tarp and then tent over tarp.
I'm aware of that,
kinda
and
what I
it's
just said, but
still
yeah.
wet.
Well, not tarp over tent. You put a
No,
tarp
yeah,
under
you
the
got-
tent.
Yeah. Rookies out there that don't know, the tarp goes on the ground, so
Yes.
you give yourself a barrier between the dirt and your butt.
Correct.
But it's still wet.
yeah, I'm.
When it rains like this for 4 days, you're wet.
I definitely threw out the.
Even when it's dry, it's wet in the morning. That's why I hate tent camping anyway.
I
The
threw out to
river's 40
the-
degrees. It's 50 degrees outside.
I threw out to the girlfriend last night just to kind of like get a feel where I was like, maybe we should just not go. And then she gave me the like, do you not want to go? Like
It was like, oh no, I'm down. I just want to make sure like everybody's still gonna have a great time.
Well, it wasn't one of those like, oh, what, you don't want to go now? It was kind of like those like, do you not want to go? Like, we don't have to go if you
She
don't.
gave you
And
an
I was
out,
just
Joe.
like,
What's
Yeah,
the
she
right
did.
choice? What's
I was
the right
like,
choice?
let's just play it by ear. I was like, if it's bad on Saturday though, or Sunday night, we're out of there.
Well, do you want to go? And Joe's like, it might be too wet. Maybe we should postpone and do nothing. Oh, so now you don't want to go.
Do you even love me?
Getting higgy with it.
Yeah, do I want sex this weekend? I need to answer this correctly.
My son will be going, so.
I wasn't saying on the trip, but
Joey's
okay.
sleeping the BMW.
Dude,
well,
feed him some melatonin, dude, and just get after it.
Gross. Have you ever gone on a camping trip and then walked back and your parents' RV is rocking? Happened to me. Turned the other way. No, thank you.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, that was like, oh, right out. I'm gonna go back to the clubhouse.
They're just doing some calisthenics, some stretches. Nothing to worry about here.
My mother is 65, and if I see that RV rocking, I'm worried she's having a seizure before I'm worried she's getting busy.
Yeah, Trillium Lake weather's not looking
The
great.
home run stroker.
It's looking like Saturday, the day that we arrive. Oh, this is wonderful. Rain and snow. Perfect. That's what you want to see in late May, right? Sunday, balmy 57 degrees. I'm not too stoked about
The
this.
day after I leave Idaho, where I'm supposed to be, is supposed to be 85.
Yep. Isn't that how it always goes?
Sick, dude.
Idaho, bro.
So happy for
Idaho.
you.
Well,
Whatever.
that's where I'm going tomorrow. Oakley Dokley. Well, we got a baseball show for you today. We're going to take a check around the league and look at some teams that are playing well and see what they need to improve. I'd also like to check in on a little teams that should be better than they are. One is in dire straits, and the other, look out, they might be coming around. More importantly, when we come back, we will have John Ryan, former Seahawks punter and co-owner of the Portland Pickles, joining us as we talk about how fantastic that entertainment vessel, let alone sports entity, is going for the city of Portland. And I don't want to waste any time, and I want to make sure we give John the full amount of time. So we'll get out of here on that. When we come back, John Ryan joins us. We'll talk pickles with everything else involved. What's funny is I don't really like pickles.
Oh, I have a pickle question to ask.
I like
him.
these pickles, though.
I do like these pickles.
We'll do that next. This is the Hot Corner, Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan.
7 and 14 are good football.
Portland sports leader, don't you forget it. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. A little fun reminder for you all. June 3rd is a Monday.
That's not the fun part of June 3rd.
Joe and I will be at the Portland Pickles game throwing out the first pitch
Now that's the fun part
on
about June
Pack
3rd.
2 Remembrance Night. Go Cougs. I am part of that. Joe, you are part of the traitors, the sellouts.
Am I allowed to show up to that?
I'll say go Adley Rutschman. How about that?
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. But we are very delighted to be joined by John Ryan, former Seahawk punter in the NFL and one of the owners of the Portland Pickles right here in Portland. And John, thank you so much for joining us. We'll start with this, my friend. Do you have a home here in Portland, or how often are you in Portland?
I don't have a home there. I am there quite a bit during the season, a little bit during the off season. I love Portland. When I first moved to the U.S. back in '03, I lived in Gresham, so I've my roots go back to Portland a long ways.
So where do you stay? Where do you hang out when you're in town? Obviously the ballpark and stuff like that.
The ballpark mostly.
What do you do when the game's over? You know, you got a good bar, good restaurant you like to go to?
I spent a lot of time on Mississippi Street. A lot of good bars down
baby.
there. Portland Pickles Public House is over there now.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a
Portland-
pretty good
Portland
bar
Pickles
that
Public
just
House.
opened. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just some good breweries downtown and bars. I love the scene in Portland. So anywhere that has a lot of bars and a lot of breweries is right up my alley.
Well, you're a key to my heart because I spend a lot of time on the Mississippi Street as well. So you and I are married to that fact. Let's talk about, before we get into the team, I want to talk about the Public House real quick. And I'm going to start simply with one question. Whose idea was it for the stairs? Because that is something that resonates on this show, that we are absolutely obsessed with, the unfortunate demise of an announcer, but gave us a soundbite that will live in infamy.
Yeah, I don't know exactly whose idea. I think it might have been a bit of a collaboration with our staff, and it has gotten a lot of attention. I didn't know if it would or not, and it has really been a hit. And said, former announcer. Unfortunately former, but he said some things he shouldn't have, and then during his apology, it went even worse. And we commemorate that speech on the stairs leading up to the pub.
It's just fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorite things I've ever seen of any troll of any moment in my entire life.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, looking up the bio during the pre-interview research, you would know a thing or two about what makes a good bar. Did I read that you were a psyop for Bar Rescue with John Taffer one episode?
Yeah, I did. I did one episode of Recon with John Taffer at Beach in Long Beach, and the owner of the bar was such a d-bag that he didn't. It was the first bar that he didn't save. And I was a part of that because the guy was truly just a terrible, terrible bar owner, and he was just insufferable. And it was a fun experience for me for sure. I got to do it with my wife. My wife sent a couple of them, so it was a really cool experience.
So yeah, you got to know right then and there. Okay, that's what not to do when running a bar. Now I know that for the Portland Pickles Public House.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Bar Rescue, so I know exactly what not to do for sure.
So from going to owner of bar to owner of a baseball team, I was curious, like in your time in the NFL, in the CFL, were there some things that you learned? Obviously, completely different ball game, no pun intended, running the Pickles versus an NFL team. But from the ownership groups that you saw with Paul Allen and the Seahawks and even the CFL teams that you played on, did you take some notes and some things from your experiences there and what you saw from them and apply it to your role as the owner for the Pickles now?
Oh, definitely. Paul Allen was just a class act the way he ran that team. And a lot of my expertise kind of comes from the other side. I know what the players are going through, and I know how to properly treat the players and, the things that they need and they want during the season. So my business partner is a great business guy and marketing guy, and my expertise kind of on the other side. And that's kind of what I can contribute to the ownership group. But yeah, I learned so much from Paul Allen, indirectly just seeing the way that he ran that team for those 10 years that I was there. And definitely a guy that I looked up to and try to simulate.
And John, as you try to build something, you can always, we're always going to push ourselves to want to be better, to want to have more success, et cetera, ticket sales, revenue, et cetera, all the business part, but also the culture side. How happy are you guys with how things are going so far? Because the Pickles to me feel like kind of its own beast in this town.
Yeah.
That we've got the Hillsboro Hops and there's talk about baseball to Portland, but you guys seem to live in your own world and your own entity. How happy are you guys as ownership of where you've come?
We're extremely happy. Getting into it, I believe it was 7 or 8 years ago now. We didn't want to push it on anyone. If we tried to push it and try to make our traditions and force things into people, really wanted to grow organically. And I think the people have really let that happen. And we have so many fun things to go on in the park, whether Ron the K-Man in left field hanging up the Ks after strikeouts, or raising the chairs after runs, or just the bubble machines going off all over the park that makes no sense whatsoever, but it's just hilarious. The dolphin on the intercom, it's just all these little things that it kind of came from out of nowhere, and the fans kind of helped it grow. And that's why we love it. It's just kind of a special place, and it's a little bit different than what other teams are doing. And it's very Portland, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're talking to John Ryan, co-owner of the Portland Pickles, right here on the Hot Corner. Do you have like a favorite memory or moment since becoming the owner of the Pickles, whether it was like a specific moment or maybe a promotional night you guys did, or maybe a fan or player interaction that you had made it like all worth it? It could be 1, 2, 3, whatever you got.
Well, I think there's been dozens of them, whether it be, player interactions, just some of the crazy nights, or just the crazy late night games, or, Parks and Rec turning off the lights at 11 o'clock in the 8th inning, having to do the fireworks between the 7th inning because the goat owner down the street wouldn't let us go beyond that. Just there's so many little things like that I can't put my finger on one.
Did you say the goat owner down the street?
Well, the keeper of the goats down the street by the YMCA. The goats are gone now. But back when we first took over the team, there was the goat keeper down the street. We had to check the fireworks with him because the goats would do the fainting goat thing when the fireworks went off. So we had to always run it by the gate. The gatekeeper of the goats.
Yeah, it's too bad you didn't decide at that moment to change from the Portland Pickles to the Portland Goats.
There you go.
Let's talk a little baseball. Let's talk a little bit of real stuff, and let's transition to. We've got a kid who's made a major league debut in baseball this year that did play for your Pickles. What is that like? Where your kids are that come in. I say kids because I'm an old man now, but you got these kids come in. Like when you see Kyle Manzardo come up with Cleveland and make his debut. What's that feeling? What was he like in the clubhouse? Did you know in that moment that this kid had MLB written on him? What's that like, and how does that resonate throughout the team going forward?
Yeah, it's really cool to get our first MLB player with Kyle this year. And it's one of those things that we saw the talent in him right away. He came to us, I think he was 18 years old at the time. And he was playing like a grown man, at 18. And you could just see that talent in him, and then how quickly he moved up through the franchise and through minor league baseball. I actually had the privilege to go and watch him play AAA this year, and just see how far he's come. Even though he was so good back then, and now he just keeps on getting better. And then to see him make that debut, I know how much that meant to him, and also how much it meant to us as a franchise to be proud to have our first player in the MLB.
Yeah, and he's been playing pretty well this last week. 4 games in a row with a hit, 3 games in a row with a double. I'm curious, how the hell do you guys make a team, though? Are you reaching out to kids, or kids from random colleges calling you guys and trying to make the team?
You got an NIL budget over there or something?
How does this work exactly?
Yeah, so we have a GM and a coach. Mags is our guy, and he actually puts these teams together for the most part. Our team has been put together since October. So you have to go after these kids right away. They're 90% Division I players. I don't know if we have any Pac-2 players this year, as you were mentioning earlier, but a lot of players from the old Pac-12. And, a lot of these guys are kind of one step away from playing minor league ball, one step away from getting drafted. So it's pretty fun. If need be, I call a guy or two, but that's a rarity. Megs kind of takes care of that. And as I said, these teams are made months in advance.
Do you ever run into, you look at, we know you locally and the fun and the atmosphere and the excitement, the entertainment value of the Pickles. Do you ever run into that being a distraction from players that could potentially want to come down?
No, we've never gotten any complaints about that. We like to have fun in the park, and there's a lot of stuff. We never interfere with the game is the biggest part. We have a lot of stuff going on around the crowd with the noise and, announcers in the crowd, and huge inflatable gators all around the place. Just a bunch of random stuff like that, but we don't interfere with anything on the actual playing field other than in between innings.
You don't have a guy
we-
on stilts.
No, let's not go there. We don't wear yellow pants. We don't have guys on stilts, but we have a lot of fun with it without taking away from the game.
Yeah, no bats on fire or anything like that in the middle of an at bat.
Don't get me started.
Is there like a promotional night? Because I've been looking at the schedule for this upcoming season. Is there one that you're looking forward to on the schedule for this year?
Yeah, I think about 50 years ago, the Cleveland baseball team, now known as Cleveland Guardians, they had a 10-cent beer night, and it's
That's
known
the
as
name of my
worst-
fantasy team.
There you go. It's known as the worst promotion all time in sports. It ended with all this terrible fighting, and I think they ended up calling the game.
The game
So
was
seen as
abandoned.
The game was abandoned. Seen as the worst promotion in sports, we're bringing it back. We're having June 4th, 10-cent beer night presented by Pub Beer. It's going to be a lot of fun, and please use a designated driver that night. Lyft, Uber. Get your kids to drive you, get your parents to drive you, whatever, but be responsible because it's going to be a lot of fun.
June 4th is the day after we will be there for Pack 2 Remembrance Night. So June 4th is 10-cent beer night, and you're doing pub beer? John, I don't tell people this on the air, but I work at 10 Barrel.
Really awesome. Yeah, I love 10 Barrel. Big fan of that. I go down there downtown quite a bit.
So I guess I'm skipping this stupid baseball show we do to come to your baseball game instead. Is
I
what
would
you're
encourage
telling
that, yes. I would encourage that, yes.
So if Patrick shows up with a pub ice and ices you, is that perfectly okay?
Totally fine.
me. Totally fine.
Perfect.
All right, well, don't set me up for that because I'll do it.
All right, now this is something a very contentious subject when it comes to pickles in general, because I love me some bread and butter pickles, but I understand that they are not the go-to for everybody. And I even had to run a poll on my Twitter page today because I was curious. What is John Ryan's feeling on bread and butter pickles?
You know, I'm a big fan. That's my go-to on a sandwich.
Yes.
I love a bread and butter. I mean, I can't argue against that.
It took some homemade bread and butters for me to sway me. My dad made a solid batch one time, and I was like, okay, now I know. Now I know what these are capable of. Yeah, the Twitter poll's not going great. 64% say that's a trash pickle. So I have to disagree wholeheartedly with the poll question.
I'm the worst guy in the world. I don't like pickles. I like you, John,
Oh,
but I like the
thank you.
team, but I can't eat pickles.
Well, at least we can agree on the baseball side of it, so we're good there.
Most definitely.
So, do you have any tips for Joe and I when it comes to throwing out the first pitch? Obviously, we want to get the ball to the catcher, but
Yeah.
is there any other kind of insight you can give me? I'm thinking about throwing back to the swinging arm days
Yeah.
of a first pitch.
Yeah.
Am I overthinking it, or should we ham it up?
I've done it, 7 or 8 times. I think my first time was for the Mariners, and I sat in my afternoon, my whole afternoon. I sat in my backyard with a case of beer, and I threw about 300 pitches to my buddy. I get to the park, and my arm was so sore I could barely get it to home plate. So don't do that. Okay, don't do that.
Don't prepare
Okay,
the
but
night
I-
before.
I've done it a lot of times. I have really tight shoulders, so it's hard. I kind of get it close to home plate. They've all been caught, but my best one last year was I said, just who cares? I walked out of the dugout. I had a beer bat full of beer in my left hand, grabbed the ball from my right. As I'm walking up on the rubber, I just threw it and kept on walking, and it was by far my best pitch. The less thought out pitch was my best. So don't overthink. It's my number one tip for you.
Should I rock Pickles gear? I am a Washington State University alumni. Should I rock Pickles gear, or should I come out all cooged out?
That's a good question. You can maybe mix it up, like a pickle shirt and a Wazoo hat or something.
Yeah.
What do you
Cougs
got?
hat.
What do you got in the crimson variety?
we're limited on that in the pickles.
Well, that's
Sure.
where I'm conflicted because I am a Oregon grad. I'm a Duck, so obviously, hey, listen, I didn't make the decision, okay? But my Orioles that have Adley Rutschman, who is Oregon State grad, he went to my high school shirt. So I was thinking about
Well-
walking out there with an Orioles hat on. But if you guys have a Pickles hat for me, I will don the Pickles hat instead.
Well, I will say my partner, Alan Miller, he's the biggest Baltimore fan around, so he would definitely support that. He grew
Okay.
up on Cal Ripken, so he's a huge Orioles fan, so he would support that.
All right, we're locked in. It's the Orioles hat then.
John Ryan joins us here, co-owner of the Portland Pickles, along with former NFL and CFL punter for your Seattle Seahawks, as you can hear them every game right here on 10A The Fan. John, is there anything for those that have never been to a Pickles game, for those that aren't quite sure about this short season summer wood bat collegiate fill in the blank kind of league you got going? What's the biggest thing you would preach in why the money, the time, the effort is worth coming to a game?
Well, there's a number of reasons. I mean, it's just good quality family entertainment. For one, we have a lot of fun in the stands. There's a lot of stuff going on. And if you love baseball, it's a very high quality of baseball. When you go out to watch a single-A game or a double-A game or whatever, I guess you guys have more single-A ball around there. They're just trying to develop players and get into the next level. You know, you'll see a guy with a no-hitter after 4 innings get taken out of the game because he hit his pitch limit, or you know, they're not matching up pitches. Ours is very, very competitive. You know, we're there to win every night, and I think that's what really makes it such a fun quality caliber of baseball. Along with these guys are really good baseball players. They're one step away from being drafted. There's about 40 players each year from our league that gets drafted to MLB. So you're really watching some future players like Kyle with Cleveland, who, you know, only played for the Pickles 4 or 5 years ago, and he's in the show. So it's a high quality of baseball along with a good value for your entertainment money.
Well, and I'll speak for my co-host when I say thank God for the wood bats in the college game.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. If you switch to metal bats, John, I swear to G, I will come find you.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've been to a few college games this year before the summer, and they use the wood, the aluminum bats, and I can't stand the sound. I can't stand the play. The wood bats is really what summer baseball is all about.
Will you marry me?
Absolutely. I'll have to ask my wife, but absolutely.
I'll have to ask mine too. Okay, John. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you on the 3rd, and maybe you'll catch me on the 4th as well.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thanks,
All right,
John.
thanks, my friend. That is John Ryan, co-owner of the Portland Pickles, former NFL and CFL punter for the Seattle Seahawks. Just a wonderful human being. Voldemort and I interviewed him not too long ago at Deschutes, leading up to his season. Just a fun environment, and we can't wait to see you. When we come back, let's dive into major leagues. Let's look around the league. There are some teams that need some help that are playing well. What do they need? We'll get to that next, but first, there's Schultzy with sports.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Pacers and Celtics happening right now. And the Pacers, since we last checked, have taken a 117-114 lead over Boston. 39 seconds to go in the game. Boston does have the ball. They have called a timeout. Miles Turner still leading the way for the Pacers with 23 points. And Jason Tatum still leading it for the Celtics with 26. Drew Holiday, though, now tying him with 26 as well. Good news for the Mariners. They managed to finish it off 2 games in a row now against the Yankees. 6-3 the final tonight. 2 home runs from Dylan Moore and then home runs from Ty France and Luke Raley as well. Out of college football, the Big 12 and the ACC conference is voting to settle cases that allow its schools to share millions of dollars with athletes in the future, also creating a fund of more than $2.7 billion to pay former athletes who are not allowed to sign NIL deals. Other conferences, including the Pac-12, are expected to join this settlement. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultz at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Getting
Like we said, go catch a Pickles game. It's Woodbat. It's in Lents Park. It's a wonderful place to go. They've got great beer on draft that you can have out there. And Joe and I will be out there on the 3rd of June.
Yeah, the 28th is their quote-unquote opening night. It's a preseason game, but their legitimate opening night is the 31st, which is next Friday. I think they're making that like their opening night because it is a Friday. But yeah, this season is just about to get underway.
Wow,
And they got MLB players, baby.
Jaylen Brown just hit a shot to tie this game.
No way.
Yeah. And I think, is that Danny Wahlberg giving out high fives to everybody? And
Big
Big Poppy's all
Donnie,
roided
yeah, I
out.
was
Yeah, I
gonna
said
say.
Donnie. I said Donnie.
You said Danny.
You said Danny.
Oh, really? I meant Donnie.
He said Danny.
Dang it. I was like, don't say Mark. Don't say Mark.
Maybe it was because you saw Big Poppy.
And so I went, Danny.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that threw you off.
This is why Tatum shouldn't have the ball to shoot at the end.
Oh,
I
wow,
hate
you're
to say
going,
it,
going
'cause
that route,
I
huh?
like Tatum, but that's what everybody's going to say tomorrow.
Going that route.
Coming up, we got a lot to get to. When we get to the 8 o'clock hour, I'd like to dive into. There's a team that had a giant window that was really fun with a lot of young talent, and I'm scared that that window is closing. We'll get to that and the 8 o'clock hour. Plus, objects in the rearview mirror are closer than they appear. Plus, we'll have fair or foul. But I want to spend the rest of this hour getting into teams that have been playing well and what concerns we have for them. And I think it starts with, I think the sexiest team in baseball right now that's not called the Los Angeles Dodgers because of their $1 billion payroll. I'm going to slide over to the Philadelphia Phillies. They were in the World Series a couple years ago. They lost to the Diamondbacks, an up-and-coming out-of-nowhere team. This team is built and has spent money to be great. They're currently sitting at 35-14. That's the best record in Major League Baseball. Is this team the best team in Major League Baseball?
I am going to say no because they haven't really played anybody. Like their record, and now granted, they are taking care of the teams that are bad.
Which is what you got to do.
I believe the record is 4-2 for teams that are above 500.
We're at the end of May, and
And
they've
they've
played six
six,
games
yeah,
against teams over
jeez.
500.
That is ridiculous. Whereas, like, I think I saw something the other day where the Padres actually have played like 16 games or 20 games of opponents over 500, and actually they have a pretty decent record against them. But
Depending on what they do this week, the Padres might open the show next week.
the Padres,
The Padres.
I know we talked about them a couple weeks ago after them making that move for Luis Arias, but I'm going to hold off on the Phillies for now because, yeah, they just haven't played anyone. So I want to see the multiple series against the Braves. I want to see a series against the Dodgers, multiple series against them, some against the Brewers, the Cubs. They haven't played anyone, for God's
Right.
sakes.
Right.
So until I see you prove it against those teams, then I will crown you. Because right now, I think the team that is playing the best in baseball is the New York Yankees.
And we'll get to them in a moment. I think one thing when you look at Philly, I think a big thing that stands out is Nick Castellanos is not having a good year.
Yeah.
Which is funny. We just talked to John about that great Tom Brenneman line about Castellanos. He is having a bad year. However, Alec Boehm is trying to say Shohei who or Mookie who. It's not quite there, but Alec Boehm has been the best player on this team. And to not you expected him to grow as a player, but I don't think you expected him to play as well as he is playing. Schwarber's doing Schwarber things. Harper's doing Harper things. Bryson Stott's been really good for them lately. And Trey Turner is finally healthy, but he seems to be a little in and out. You're covering some Band-Aids here. So if Castellanos, who makes the money, who is expected to hit well, is not, you're getting some of that production from other guys.
Well, and also, I mean, you have JT Realmuto's playing well. There's also this guy on their team, Trey Turner. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Fairly loaded.
Yeah.
They got a lot of guys. Like Castellanos is down. They got two other guys. I mean, Harper's still being Bryce Harper, possibly an MVP candidate again this year. So, of course, they're getting business done against these teams. But this all evens out by the end of the year.
So
Right?
this is a great team. This
Mhm.
is one of the best teams in baseball. But again, until I see them prove it against other great teams in the league, then I will. Then I'll crown their ass.
I think you're spot on. I think that's all it is I think the Phillies, if you're a Philly fan or if you're a opponent of the Phillies in your division, if you're a fan of one of those other teams, I think you just want to see, how they stack up with some good guys. What I love about Philly is, boy, their starters are really good.
Yeah,
Their starter, Ranger Suarez has a 1.36 ERA right
he had
now.
a great outing today against the Blue Jays.
Zach Wheeler has a 2.52. Aaron Nola, the bum, at a 3.05. Spencer Turnbull's at 2.52. So you're getting a lot out of your starters, and this bullpen is no longer an absolute joke as it was in the past.
Well, and the starters are kind of coming out of nowhere, right? Because Ranger Suarez, was he like that top prospect doesn't ring a bell. It's because he wasn't one, right? And these guys are kind of just like, mid-tier minor leaguer. Oh no, all of a sudden they're pitching really well for the Phillies. So yeah, they can lean on that, which is obviously something. But again, against crappier teams, are these guys that are playing well right now going to play really well against the Braves later on? We don't know.
So I think that's all it is. Phillies are a little bit of a wait and see. We'll switch over to the American League. We got this question asked on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326.
Real quick before that, their record above 500 teams is now 1-2 because one of the teams that they have played over the season is now below 500.
Nice.
So
nice.
It's gotten even worse.
Very nice. We'll slide over to this, asked on the Vancouver Ford text line, are the Royals built to contend for the playoffs this year? And I'll start with this. They obviously have a lot of young players, okay? Bobby Witt is one of the top 3, if not top 2, depending on how you want to look at it, guys that people are looking at for the future. He signed his big deal.
5 RBIs today.
5 really? I didn't see that.
And he had at least 5 today. I know that. He might have finished with more, but yeah, he definitely had like 5 before like the 3rd inning or something. It was ridiculous.
That's insane.
He had 6 today.
And
2 home runs.
Is this team built to compete for a World Series? I would say no. For the division and being a pain in my you-know-what in the playoffs? Yeah. I know I've been laughing and joking about my fantasy team who's in dead last in my league right now. Right now, Kansas City, for me, has the American League Cy Young favorite. I know we're in late May, but Seth Lugo
called it.
Has been absolutely phenomenal this year.
Definitely called Seth Lugo being a Cy Young winner this year, right?
He's got a 1.79 ERA and a .98 WHIP.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. He's 7-1 in his 10 starts. He's getting decisions. He's pitching late into games. He's not striking out a ton of guys. But remember when Seth Lugo was in New York and it was like, we got Matt Harvey and Syndergaard and DeGrom, but then it was like, but these other guys like Zach Wheeler and Seth Lugo are pretty good too. And now is Seth Lugo's time to shine.
Yeah, definitely. I think the pitching is what has been most surprising about this team. Again,
spent a lot of money on that bullpen too.
Yeah, you also have Brady Singer throwing a sub-3 ERA. Cole Reagans with a sub-4 ERA at 3.7.
And he's your kid, so you expect him to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Royals, I'm right there with you. Younger team that can make some noise throughout the season. But hell, man, MLB playoffs, they've shown time and time again that random-ass teams like the Diamondbacks with a lot of young talent that hasn't been there can make a little run at the end there.
And the Central is wide open. Minnesota, we talked about last week being amazing, and they've completely fallen off.
Yeah.
Cleveland continues to just
a lot of season
be
left.
Cleveland.
But, I mean, yeah, the Twins, they kind of showed their hand. It was like, oh, yeah, so you were good against the White Sox and the Angels, and then you played the Yankees, and I forget who else, and then lost like 7 straight games.
Well, boy, the Twins have had a Yankee problem for about a decade.
That's true. That is very true.
A couple teams have had a Yankee problem, the Twins being one of them. But the one thing that struck me, I actually saw the Royals beat the Mariners last week in person, was just the vibe around the team. They seemed like all winners, and I feel like that's kind of coming down from Salvador Perez, that veteran presence. I mean,
Hall of Famer.
We talk about that. It is so important to have guys around your clubhouse like that. And I feel like they're keeping Hunter Renfroe around even though he's batting $160, because he probably offers some of that kind of, folk coaching, able to coach these young guys like Bobby Witt Jr. So they know how to win and they want to win.
To
right
your
now.
point of Sal Perez, he leads the Royals in all 5 offensive categories. Batting average at .343, 9 home runs, 39 RBIs, a .404 on-base percentage with 60 hits already on the league. A little nice resurgence from the future Hall of Famer, Sal Perez.
Yeah, when he goes, the rest of the team goes, it seems.
I
Right?
mean, it's how they won a series in 15. I mean, it was all
So-
Sal Perez. Hosmer and Gordon and the pitching
course.
staff and the bullpen were great, but they went as Sal went.
So for this Royals team, then it's basically, what is the weakness? What do we have to worry about? Is can they sustain this over a full 162?
Yep, that's it. That's really it. Can you continue to play at the clip you're playing?
Yeah, I mean, the way that Bobby Witt's playing, like Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez, those 2 guys alone, like, again, they'll carry this team pretty damn far.
I love him.
2 home runs, 6 RBIs today for Bobby
I love him.
Witt.
I love him.
My buddy's probably made a lot of money off of Bobby Witt prop bets this year.
Shout out Isaac Gropp on the Kansas City Royals being absolutely legit so far this year. All right, we come back. Joe teased it earlier. Let's slide over to the American League East because there's one team that we expected to boat race, and there's a team that I expected to be near the bottom that has proved me wrong. I'm going to have to eat some crow. We'll do that next. Hot Corner, Today the Fan.
The Fan merch locker is now open.
I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
We have John Ryan on earlier today. If you missed any of that, you can go catch that at the Fan Podcast at TanaTheFan.com, the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up in the second hour is Jason Tatum washed as a clutch player, hour-to-hour coverage. Joe and I are actually going to stay on the air till midnight tonight to talk about Jason Tatum so we can be ahead of everybody else.
And will he go to Cleveland with LeBron James and Bronny James? We'll
And
get to
Bronny
that
James.
next.
Who
here
else? Are they going to get Jokic too?
on Cleveland. Yeah.
Pretty sure he just hit an and one, by the way.
You know,
on
the
Cleveland 106, the fart.
You know, the Nuggets flamed out, so we got to get Jokic out of Denver. And if the T-Wolves lose, we got to get Edwards out of there too. So maybe LeBron in Cleveland. It's LeBron, Tatum, Jokic,
Wait.
Anthony Edwards, and Bronny James Jr.
We need to figure out how to get them to a big market.
Yeah, you guys sound like
What are we doing here?
Oh, the
National radio
Knicks.
show.
All right, the
Yeah.
Knicks should
How are
trade
they-
Josh Hart, Brunson, Randall, get everyone out of there, and just restart and somehow get Durant in there too.
Yes. Now we're thinking like big media.
You
here.
have no idea how
Did you-
great that would be.
Malika, I swear to God.
Did you see ESPN's Tim Legler said today, or the podcast came out today that he made the comment on saying that the executives there did not want him to cover the Pacers because it was quote unquote not sexy enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if when you think of Indianapolis, the word sexy comes to mind. So
It's not that; it's that their team is really fun to watch, and they were really entertaining. And ESPN execs just didn't care.
Yeah, they're idiots. All right, Joe kind of teased this earlier. Let's slide over to the American League East. I have to eat a little bit of crow here. I was at Fan Madness.
And I will serve you some of this, Crow, because I was starting to go back on them a little bit. I was starting to let you influence me on this team before the season, but I had a feeling.
I was at Fan Madness, and I laid a 20 spot, the old 20 spot, on 92.5 over-under win total for the Yankees. And my friend, I think I can rip that up now.
Well, don't speak so fast, because
Unless they're playing the Mariners.
they're on a losing streak now. That's what I'm saying. They have ran into a brick wall, also known as the Seattle Mariners. Okay,
Just an offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, Dylan Moore, a home run guru, baby. Let's
Fantasy,
go.
baby, fantasy.
hey,
Let's
when
go.
Mariners are scoring,
You know
5
you're in
runs,
last place when you got Dylan Moore on your team.
and if the Mariners are
pickup.
scoring 5 runs
is a
or
good
more,
pickup.
that game over for the other team.
Yeah, but this team has been wild. Like, we said this going into the year that this team really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, adding Juan Soto is huge, okay? I mean, we're not going to deny that. But Juan Soto gets you, what, 4 or 5 wins? This team really hasn't changed that much from last year. DJ LeMahieu's in witness protection. Rizzo's been slow to start. Giancarlo's been all right, but still strikes out more than I do. And Garrett Cole's on the shelf. Yet here they sit at 33-17. They are playing very good baseball. Very good baseball. And it starts with Soto and Judge.
Yeah, and Judge, he really picked it up after his slow start in April. There was some his like barrel rate percentage is like 50-something%, and the next closest is at like high 20s.
Yeah,
like that.
I saw barrels today. He was 24. Number 2 was Rosario for the Nationals, my Nationals, at 13. He was 24, Rosario was 13, and Soto was 12.
Yeah, I'll find this stat for you because it's pretty eye-opening. as far
My
as what-
Washington Nationals, Joe.
Another fun fact is that Giancarlo Stanton now has the most 4 strikeout games in Baseball Reference history. Like since they've been recording 4 strikeout games or something.
Adam Dunn says hello.
Yeah.
I do think one of the things that not much has changed.
Richie Sexton says hello.
Oh God, he's a classic player in MLB The Show, and I'm like, why would I ever want to play with him? I just get really bad memories. Good memories though that the Yankees are making this year. Shoring up the left side of the infield, especially compared to last year. You got John Birdie, who all of a sudden from Miami seems like he's playing a great third base. He's hitting, and now Anthony Volpe in his second year. He's not ever going to replace Jeter. But you've got a 25 home run, 250, 260 hitting a year shortstop that plays great defense too. And that had been a black hole for before Volpe's arrival the last 3 to 5 seasons.
And flip it over to the right side. Like, Gleyber Torres is having a really solid season right now. And Rizzo's always going to have great defense at first base. He's got to figure it out of that bat. I don't know what it is. Luis Gil has been fantastic on the mound for them. Clay Holmes, obviously, last night's the exception. Clay Holmes has been the best closer in baseball right now. I don't know if it's the new pitching coach in New York or what it is, but things are clicking, and I promise you it's not Aaron Boone.
Here's this stat for Aaron Judge, and it was for the month of May. He has barreled an absurd 55.3% of balls he's put into play. The next highest is O'Neal Cruz with 31%.
That's insane.
Like nearly double.
I was saying to a buddy earlier today that I'm starting to kind of fall in love with Aaron Judge's swing. I felt a little bit, it was a little kind of like robotic in his early days, even when he hit, 62 home runs. I felt it was a little robotic, but now I'm watching, I'm like, I'm kind of seeing the relaxation the confidence and this is just how I swing.
It's pretty clean, pretty smooth. And again, like when you're as big as him, when you are an ogre of his size, like just swing smooth, get your barrel on the ball like you've been doing.
Yeah.
And look what happens. Like he is just
If your
damn near
timing's on,
unstoppable. Yeah.
let the pitcher do the work for you.
It's like a golf swing, man. It's like you don't need to crush your driver. Like you just have a smooth swing and you're able to get the ball on the face. Like that thing's gonna go. And that's what he's doing.
And then a question you slide over to their division rivals, who I think a lot of us penciled into the World Series. That's the Baltimore Orioles. Boy, there's a bullpen problem over there. The offense is just fine because Gunnar Henderson right now.
What are you
looks to
talking
me-
about?
Gunnar Henderson looks to me like the absolute real deal.
Can Gunnar
and
close?
potentially the American League MVP.
Can Gunnar close out a game for us? Maybe.
I don't think so. Kimbrel has been a big struggle there.
I hope that the Orioles make a move before the deadline to shore up the closer position because obviously you're not having Felix Bautista show up this year, and then the Kimbrel signing has gone completely downhill since the beginning of the season.
And I like the other pieces in the bullpen.
I do too.
I
but-
love Cano.
But yeah, I do too. I was saying like a week or so ago after Kimbrel was blowing yet another game, I'm like, do you start throwing Cano out there as a closer? Because this is not sustainable, and you cannot be going in like, thank God it's May.
Thank God.
Like,
Which is why I would say if you're an Orioles fan, and Joe, you are, like,
relax a bit, but still, like, you're going to have to be on the market for a closer.
and you were telling me earlier, Corbin Burns has been as advertised.
Yes.
But the starters have been good.
They've been good, but they just leave me a little weary. Like Grayson's been a little banged up, but it's really are Bradish and Kremer going to be able to be this good throughout the entire season and when it matters most? Because and granted you had Kyle Gibson on the team last year, throw a game in the playoffs, is when this rotation shortens up, when you get to the playoffs and you are throwing Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, and maybe John Means is your third starter.
If he comes back and looks good.
Well, he's had a couple starts and he's looked decent to play this year.
Fully coming back is what I mean.
Because they've got him restricted a bit, but that's where I'm just kind of holding my breath and stay healthy, all those guys. But even if you get to that point where Kremer or Bradish need to be one of your third or your fourth starter, it's, it just makes me a little nervous. If there was one more like surefire ace in there, and the way that Grayson was starting this season, that was giving me some reassurance. But I just saw what happened in the postseason last year, and that's what gives me some hesitancy, is that can you depend on either of those guys to be your third starter if necessary?
And I think offensively you have to pray that Westberg and Kauser stay at this clip.
Oh, dude. Yeah. And then, obviously
because they're out of their minds right now.
Yeah. There's been a lot of great batting.
Rutschman, Gunnar, I'm not shocked by any of it. And if you can get Jackson in and he does something, that's huge too.
Let's just keep him down for a little bit longer.
Were you
maybe.
surprised going into this year that they didn't even in spring training go after a Blake Snell or a Jordan Montgomery?
Well, I mean, they made the trade for Corbin Burns.
Huge.
With,
Yeah, of course.
the intention to sign him long term. I would hope that with the new ownership that you would be looking to add another arm. And again, if you think you are a World Series contender, which, look at your record. Look at where you are offensively. You are.
Absolutely.
Make a move, see what's on the market for. I think that the closing position is definitely more priority than another starter because, again,
Oakland?
Mason Miller, come on over, please, for the love of God. I know that Tanner Scott for the Marlins might be available as well. They might be
anyone on the Marlins is available.
Yeah, basically. So I would say that is where the Orioles would have to look first before looking to add another arm.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, let's flip this on its head. There's a team whose window seemed very large that we were very into, and I'm really worried that this window is slamming shut as their fans are freaking out and their GM's trying to say all is calm, but I don't know if I believe it. Plus fair or foul. Loaded second hour. Don't go anywhere. Hot corner. 10 the Fan. 1080thefan.com, the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. We had John Ryan on at the 7:15 hour talking to us about pickles and bars and steps and pickles.
Very happy to hear him in his opinion about bread and butters.
He had your back, Joe.
Yes, dude, bread and butters are good. This poll question is, I just don't get it.
Well, it is on Twitter.
That's
So,
true. Yes.
Those people are just there because you were like, they probably assumed that you said, are bread and butter pickles good? They probably assumed that you like them.
Do
so
you
they were
like bread and butter pickles was the
They
question.
probably assumed that you like them. So since it's negative Nancyville over there, they were
That's
just
true.
like negative.
Very toxic towards my
No.
bread and butters. The options were
Discriminatory.
yes, I'll crush a jar. No, trash pickle, bro.
So make sure you check that out. And Joe and I will be at the stadium in Lentz Park on June 3rd, throwing out the first pitch. So come on down and say what's up.
I'm gonna throw a nasty. What is it? Ephus ball?
You gonna throw an ephus?
It's Ephus, right?
Ephus.
It is
Okay.
Ephus.
I feel like sometimes I like know something for a matter of fact, and then that small 0.1% of doubt creeps into my mind, and then I'm like, wait a second, have I been lied to my entire life?
I'm thinking about the knuckle curve, as Mike Mussina was one of my favorite pitchers. to
Just
watch
some
growing
nasty
up. Just a little
movement.
movement. He would hold it like that.
I'm gonna give some absolute junk.
How
out
did he
there.
not have like 3 Tommy John surgeries? That's nuts. Just with that grip.
Yeah, well, he was a great defender too. Multiple-time Gold Glove winner.
I think
Hall of Famer.
what I'm trying to say is
Mike
I
Mussina.
might be calling this generation a little soft is what I might be getting towards.
Well, we got fair or foul at the bottom of the hour, plus in 15 minutes. Don't look now. Objects in your mirror are closer than they appear. But I want to start with this as we're kind of looking around the scene as we're getting into June. Teams are kind of showing their stuff here, and I've seen some quotes from this GM acknowledging the fans' frustration. This team has a lot of young talent that is now mature.
You've been teasing this, and I still don't know what team you're talking about.
My friends, I'm talking about the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, you even texted me about this team today.
I am really starting to think that a lot of these guys are just not as great as advertised.
The Blue Jays, more like the Scrub Jays, if you know what I mean.
Bo Bichette, after being an all-star starter last year, some of that is a little inflated from the Canadian vote. Shout out to my friends in Canada.
He was decent last year.
But he was pretty good last year, is absolutely struggling right now. George Springer, who's your high-dollar player, is absolutely struggling right now. And Vladdy is kind of turning it around, but it's not the Vladdy you expect from him. The front office has said, we've got to do something and do something now. My question is are we a little too late
To make moves?
to
Or-
get better?
Oh, I feel like when you are in this division, the AL East, and you see what the Orioles are doing, you see how much young talent they have, you know they're going to win a World Series, if not 2 or 3 in the years to come. So, you might as well just cut your losses.
That's improbable, but not impossible.
It's not impossible, all right? And the Yankees annoyingly being good, and the Red Sox being better than they should be. The Rays middling around that 500 record, and we'll see what they start to do.
Imagine if the Rays had a shortstop,
Or had healthy pitchers.
the guy that they groomed to
Yeah,
be
the-
their starting shortstop.
Well, he did some grooming of his own.
You
Moving
want,
on.
you don't want to talk. You want to talk about arms not falling off. I give you the Tampa Bay Rays. I feel like if you're the Blue Jays, it's like we've been rocking with this young core for what? This is like year 4.
This should be it.
I would think that I don't care what the GM says, sell high or as high as you can, because if it just continues to nosedive, what happened last year with Shohei has just like scared me with every team now.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, if you have talent and you are clearly not going anywhere,
Move it.
get rid of it and get something for it while you can.
And I think what's the most alarming about this is Jose Barrios has a 2.98 ERA and Yusei Kikuchi has a 2.64. You've got 2 starters, which is a lot more than a lot of teams in baseball do. I would say you have 2 better starters than the Yankees.
but if you can't hit, then it doesn't matter. If you can't put runs across the plate,
and your hitting is Vladdy, Bo, George Springer, Justin Turner. It's just not happening.
And outside of the Springer acquisition in the last few seasons, how are the Blue Jays rolling it back any differently than they did last season? Okay, they tried to go after Shohei Ohtani. They lost that very publicly. So why the hell weren't they in on Cody Bellinger or Jorge Soler, or like literally one of the 13 bats or plus still
Bring back Matt Chapman.
Exactly. It doesn't really like, and I'm a fan of the Mariners that literally refuse to spend any money because their owner's cheap. The Blue Jays had a bunch of money to spend. They got totally shafted in their minds from Ohtani, and now they don't go and get anybody else. Like, so yes, it is too late because they had that opportunity.
They have Daniel Vogelbach, all right?
The big boy himself.
He's actually a nice dude.
They have
Very nice
Vogelbach
guy.
and Alejandro Kirk.
If you're
two of the short pudgy guys out there.
If you're a Blue Jay fan and Vladdy or Springer gets moved, how do you feel?
If you're a Blue Jays fan?
Yeah. To your point, Joe, you were saying, like, after watching the Shohei debacle last year, what if at the trade deadline, Vladdy or George Springer or hell, even Bo Bichette gets moved? Is that the right move? Or do you still sit here and say, wait a sec. We've had a bad 2 months. We'll figure it out. We've got 2 starters. We can be better than this.
I don't know, man. It's not inspiring because it's not like you have one guy or 2 guys not hitting. You have like 4 dudes that you are relying on that are not hitting the ball. Justin Turner, he came over from the Red Sox. He is doing
garbage.
Squadoosh for you. George Springer, you kind of wonder, it's like, let's move off of that before we have to pay anymore. Let's get younger at the position. I mean, Bo Bichette, I feel like that is, again, when you have players with kind of this name power in a sense, like Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero, whether they're playing bad or not right now or not being able to hit the ball, and Vlad's hitting the ball, it's just not as dominant because there's nobody on base.
Right.
And so he's not able to get RBIs. I feel that, and it is going to be hard for Blue Jay fans to swallow, but dude, like, try and start over. Try and, like, and
but
I know,
are you going to start over better than what your start was?
well, like, how far, they didn't even make an ALCS.
True.
Like, that, it's not like they had a good offense for a few years, but outside of that, I mean, a couple playoff berths. I mean, do you really think that this is a loaded roster, 1 to 9, that you're going to be able to compete with?
Boy, 8 months ago, you felt that way.
Well, and I don't know. I feel like even before the season, we were saying this was either the Orioles or the Rays division to lose, and then maybe the Yankees. I was giving them a little bit of flowers, but even I was still a little hesitant to, give them a 2 seed or 3 seed of this AL East. But I think that just the way that it's looking right now, you got to cut your losses, and it could be overreaction. And I bet you that, again, the GM and the fan base, I bet you they're not feeling that at all. I could totally see them roll through this season, keep everyone, and then run it back next year to see what happens.
And that would be your last chance.
Yeah.
One thing that kind of signals some trouble to me was the firing of Charlie Montoyo, their manager, the year of them going on and facing the Mariners in the playoffs, right? John Schneider taking over, then signing a 3-year deal. It was obviously the players that did that. I'm not sure that there was like a huge change of message or voice because Schneider was the bench coach there anyways before Montoyo got fired. And essentially you just rode great performances and gave a new manager a contract. When you have that tumultuous relationship from player to manager, whatever the hell was going on, I was not a fly on that wall. I feel like that spells trouble for your organization.
And I want to make a correction.
Quit putting Jordan Romano in close situations.
I want to make a correction because when we were talking about the Phillies earlier, I said that Ranger Suarez, he had a great outing against the Blue Jays today. It was actually against the Rangers, another blue and red team. So I wanted to make that correction. But the reason I want to make that correction is because it wasn't much better for the Blue Jays today. You literally only got 2 hits against the White Sox today.
That's the worst team in baseball.
You lost 5-0, and yeah, you beat them yesterday, but you also just got swept by the Rays. You split 2 against the Orioles, which kind of had made you have a little bit of optimism, but that Adley walk-off definitely took some wind out of your sails. You dropped 2 out of 3 against the Twins. You split against the Phillies recently. The Nationals, you dropped 2 out of 3 against them. The Royals dropped 2 out of 3. So you're not winning series.
Right.
And you're playing these good teams in the Royals, the Twins, you're playing the Rays, and you're not winning the series. So you're starting to lose that momentum, and you might be starting to lose that locker room.
It'll be tough to see what goes on with them. We'll check back in on them later, but I'd like to switch over to this. We left this team for dead a couple weeks ago. They're currently riding an 8-2 in their last 10. Is it time to buckle up? We'll get to that next. The Hot Corner, Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan.
What's your opinion?
It's thick, it's
Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll get into Fair or Foul, everybody's favorite, as we do every single Tuesday night at 8:30. A couple weeks ago, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, I feel like we left this team for dead and just kind of said, hey, this is not very good, but look out. The Houston Astros.
Wouldn't you know it?
Stop
Baseball
me if
season.
you've heard this before.
Baseball season is long.
Baseball season is long, and the Houston Astros have pulled themselves out of the depths. They currently sit 5 games back of your Seattle Mariners.
How nervous is Jordan Schultz right now?
8-2 in the last.
Pretty darn.
Kyle Tucker looks like a top 5 player in baseball.
One of the home run leaders right now, I'm pretty sure.
And there's a very angry man named Jordan that still plays for that team.
Oh, man.
That dude, I think he could break the home run record at some point in his career. Roids or not, I don't know. Well, allegedly, not allegedly, but
like
that
in a
dude
season or
Yes.
career?
No, in a career. Or sorry, in a season at some point
74
in his career.
home runs.
I think it's that dude hits whammies when he's on like nobody's business.
Should we just start loading guys up just to see if someone can do that?
No.
Because, obviously it's a timing thing, right? Got to put the bat on the ball. But I say we just start let's dive full back into the steroid era and see if we can do it again.
No, Judge had 62 without him. And I think Alvarez can best that at some point by 10 or 12.
Boy, he sure hits the ball real angry.
Yeah.
Every time I see him hit that ball that goes out of the park, it's like, whoa, dude. I'm sorry your dad was mean to you.
So, and the one thing that has been plaguing this Astros team since the beginning of the season is their pitching. I'm going to rattle off some runs that they gave up over the last 10 to 15 games here. 3, 2, 8, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 4, 4, 4. And then lost last night to the Angels 7, who hit 1 billion home runs on them, it seemed like. And then won tonight 6-5. So you might have noticed a lot of 2, 3s, 1s, and 4s in there.
That'll get her done.
Yeah. So if their arms can figure it out, their pitching staff, then death by 1,000 cuts. Here we go again.
Jose Altuve has been fantastic for them. He's cooled off a little bit of late, but he had a really hot start. He's currently batting .296. Jeremy Pena, World Series MVP, currently sitting at a .328 and an .827 OPS. I think that's what a lot of this was, too. It's not even just pitching. It's that hitting wasn't coming around. It felt like it was the Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve show. In comes Yordan Alvarez. Jeremy Pena's back. Your big concern is still Alex Bregman. Bregman is still your big, giant concern. But outside of that, Jake Myers in center field is hitting over 300. Like, what are we doing here? You now have guys that I've never heard of. Mauricio Dubon is hitting over 300.
Oh,
what the hell is going on?
You didn't know about Mauricio Dubon, dude?
No, I didn't have him on my bingo chart today.
Yeah, it's I can't believe this is happening. I mean, I can, but I can't. It's just like, dude, of course.
And I think
here we go.
I think it's funny too because there's nothing I've really seen. There's nothing I've seen that tells me he's terrible.
By the way, Kyle Tucker homered twice today. He has 17 home runs and leads the MLB.
Him and
Now
Yordan
does
went
lead
back to
them.
back. There's nothing I've seen that makes me think he's terrible, but there's nothing I've seen that makes me think he's great. Espada seems to just kind of be a guy that's just rolling the basketball out and saying, play baseball, guys.
Don't see
You've
him
got
coaching.
this. You've got this. Is this sustainable? Do we believe that this is the Astros are still continuing? Because I heard 4 or 5 days ago on MLB Network, or I think it might have been Cowherd or even somebody prominent said, talking about, I think it was the fact that we'll have a 6th new NBA champion this year, that dynasties die. And somebody was like, look at the Astros. They're actually dead now. Are they?
I'll jump in and say, yeah. I think they're dead. I'm not going to go with
The
the last
Astros
week.
are dead.
I'm not going to go with the last week or two and say that just because they've started to play a little bit better, that they're all of a sudden going to be amazing. They're 5 games out. They still have the Texas Rangers, other than the Mariners, to get past. It's going to be a really heated wild card battle in all of Major League Baseball this year. So, no. I mean, you're looking at it fighting possibly the Guardians, possibly fighting the Twins, whoever ends up there. There's a lot of teams that they're going to have to best, and I don't think Joe Espada's got it.
Well, they were 12-24 at one point after losing their second straight against the Yankees. This was the series after they played the Mariners and dropped 2 out of 3. Since then, they beat the Yankees to finish up that series. They got 2 of 3 against the Tigers. They got the luxury of playing the Oakland Athletics 4 games in a row. But they did get 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. They've split their 2 games against the Angels, and they'll have a first pitch at 11:10 tomorrow against them. So we'll see if they can win that series. I mean, at this point, you need, if you're the Astros, to win those types of series against the Angels, against the Tigers, against the Athletics. So that way you could just be like, all right, we're not that bad. We're clearly doing something right here. We beat the Brewers as well. So, we have momentum rolling. It's not encouraging that you have Framber Valdez yesterday just get torched and give up however many home runs en route to the loss. So that gives you that little bit of okay, who is this team for real? But man, I said it before the season. I took them to win the division because it was one of those, I'll see it, I'll believe it
prove me
otherwise.
wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And so far they have. but this is what they do, man. It's a slow creep. It's been like that the last couple seasons where they just slowly chip away and chip away. Now this has to be much more than a slow chip away. This is like, hey, you guys, we got to turn it on.
You got to
here.
get it going
'Cause
now.
It's going to be June, July, and if the Mariners start improving play, start hitting the ball a little bit better, if the Rangers start playing a little bit better as well, then we could be the odd man left out here.
But I think that's what intrigues me the most about this Astros team pulling it together a little more now is the Rangers are currently 2 of their last 8. The Mariners aren't looking like anything that's super scary.
They don't.
Oh,
scare
I've
me.
got a question about that in fair
that starting rotation is getting better, but are not living up to it unless your name is Wu or Miller.
And Miller got shelled for the first time this season a couple days ago.
So when Houston sits there 5 games back, 2 games back from Texas, it's almost that double-edged sword that it's not necessarily that I believe that Houston is getting better. It's that I believe that the people ahead of them are able to be taken. It's like the Red Sox, for example, okay? Their offense is great. Outside of Tanner Houck, their pitching is terrible. I still don't see them catching Baltimore or New York. Can Houston catch Texas and Seattle? I think that answer is yes.
Well, after this Angels game tomorrow, they have a 3-game set over the weekend with the Oakland Athletics in Oakland. And then next week, a 4-game set up in Seattle.
And that'll be huge.
Yeah,
that'll be big.
Yeah, a big momentum shifter for these 2 teams. Yeah, the Mariners better split, if not win at least 3 of those.
They got to start hitting consistently. And it is quickly worth pointing out that Josh Hader, who was terrible at the beginning of the year for them, I think 1 earned run in his last 6 or 7 appearances. So he's started to shore it up. He's actually saving and not giving up games at the end.
He's his own manager, don't you know that?
Yeah. Actually, after that article that came out, I might be siding with Josh Hader.
I also want to highlight what their June looks like as far as some of the teams they'll be playing. After that Seattle series, they get Minnesota, St. Louis, Angels, Giants, Tigers, White Sox.
Ouch.
Those are the next few series. So it's
Ouch.
like that is where they can
That's
start
ground
to
is
chip
made
away.
up.
Yeah, that's not looking. And then they'll get swept by the Orioles, and then
duh.
and then they get the Rockies, Mets. So
The Orioles will have like Garrett Cole and Walker Buehler and
sounds good to me. I mean,
Shota
jeez.
Imanaga, and they'll just have the most loaded roster you've ever
I'm
seen.
down.
How are
Not
they acquiring
complaining.
all these guys?
All right, when we come back, let's give Fair or Foul a little room to breathe. We'll dive into that. It's everybody's favorite at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. But first, there's Schulte with sports.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, all finished up between the Pacers and Celtics in Boston. Boston manages to get the final OT win, or the win in OT, the final 133-128. Jason Tatum actually having a good performance in OT, leading the way with 36 points overall. Drew Holiday adding 28. Over to baseball, the Mariners, looking for their second win in a row against the Yankees in New York, managed to grab one 6-3 the final, thanks to 2 home runs from Dylan Moore and a home run each from Luke Raley and Ty France as well. A couple more games in New York, so they can at least split the series now. And in college sports, the Big 12 and ACC conferences have voted to settle cases that allow its schools to share millions of dollars with athletes in the future and create a fund of more than $2.7 billion to pay former athletes who were not allowed to sign NIL deals. Other conferences, including the Pac-12, are expected to join in the settlement. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size?
and blows on it like a curler, and it goes foul.
And what our distinguished hosts think about the stories that popped up around the big leagues.
But he got down on his hands and knees and literally blew the ball across the foul line.
This is Fair or Foul on the Hot Corner on 1080 The Fan.
All right, this is Fair or Foul. We do it every single Tuesday night at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. Without further ado, we shall turn this over to our fantastic producer, Schultz.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for letting me take the week off last week, by the way. I stayed in that hotel right across the street from T-Mobile Park. Oh, my God. You got to go next time you go to a Mariners game and do it that way. Cheap nights on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and sitting in the hot tub right across from the stadium was amazing.
Could you watch the game from the hot tub?
If I wanted to, yes. I wouldn't be able to see the whole thing, but yeah. I mean, not the worst plan in the world.
Ladies
that's
of the
for sure.
night, white powdery substances, Mariners game right across the balcony.
You go to the game with Dusty?
No, with my dad.
I was just thinking about the Iceman.
Oh yeah, because he's got a cocaine problem, right?
Whoa!
But that's the alleged. That's the thing I've heard in almost 2 years.
I
of
don't
being
know anything. I just
insanity.
know him as the Iceman.
He doesn't have a cocaine problem.
There's
by
a
the
reason
way.
his name is Dusty.
It's just a joke. But anyways, yeah. So appreciate you guys. Hopefully, we got some good questions that I was not able to get across last week into this week that will stump you.
I hope.
Fair or Foul number 1. Let's start off with the Oakland Athletics. An Athletics batter is in the top 10 of home runs in all of MLB. An Athletics batter, fair or foul, is in the top 10 of home runs in all of MLB. Fair or foul?
I will go first. I believe it is their catcher, Shane Langoliers. I will say fair.
I'm going to say foul because that just sounds preposterous. An Oakland
Not
base hitter.
possible.
But
I was scouring the waiver wire in one of my fantasy leagues the other day, and there was 2 Oakland A's that they were like, you should pick this guy up. And
If
I was
it is-
oh God.
if it is anybody, I'm going to go on a limb and say it's Brett Rooker. But I still say foul. Not possible.
Okay, you both half got this right.
Got a half point.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Patrick a half point and you, Joe, a half point because it is fair. That is correct. Patrick got that right, but then Joe, you said Brett Rooker, who it actually is.
Nice.
And it's surprising to me because I guess you could maybe say that this is fair with an asterisk. He is tied for 8th place with 7 other players in Major League Baseball at 11 home runs. So he is one of 8 players with 11, but that is good for 8th in all of Major League Baseball. Giancarlo, Bryce, Teoscar, Tyler O'Neill, Juan Soto, others with 11 home runs, just like Brent Rooker.
Am I crazy or did Juan Soto cool off when it came to home runs a little bit?
You want to know something nuts? Juan Soto struck out twice today to Brian Wu.
Wheels are falling off.
That blows my absolute
Don't
mind.
give him the contract, Yankees. Trade him to the Orioles.
He did cool off, but didn't he then just hit 2 homers in a game on Saturday or something over the weekend?
I don't know.
Juan Soto's a real deal.
He's
I want to say he had 9 home runs 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. I could be wrong.
well, then that would make sense. He
I
had a
could be foul.
2 home run game this weekend then. Yeah, he's going to get his bag. All right, so yeah, good job, guys. You both got that kind of half right. Yeah, Brent Rooker has 11 home runs for the Athletics, and that is more by any Athletic at this point this year than last year. They are actually hitting. They've won a few more games, so hey, props to Oakland. They're not a threat to Seattle, so I'm all right with it.
And you're right on that Juan Soto stat. He had 2 home runs against the White Sox on May 18th. But those
I had 2 home runs against the White Sox that day.
I hit for a cycle. It was awesome.
Yeah, baby.
Those are his only 2 home runs since May 8th. He only has 3 in the month of May so far.
wow.
So as far as home runs go, it has dipped off just a little bit after 7 in April.
But his on-base percentage is 430.
yeah,
Home run numbers are like Julio Rodriguez, though.
408.
Oh, just barely over 400. you
Bum. Trade him to the Orioles.
You bum. All right, fair or foul number 2. Refers to a team of bums, in my opinion, but I don't even think it's just an opinion. It is pretty close to fact. Fair or foul, Aaron Judge, Kyle Tucker, and Mookie Betts have more walks than the entire Miami Marlins team. Fair or foul, Mookie, Kyle Tucker, and Aaron Judge have more walks than the entire Miami Marlins team combined.
I'm going to say fair because that sounds funny, and I hope that's the case. Because Judge is going to get walks from being in, I don't know how many intentional walks he has, but I can imagine there's a few in there for him.
I saw Devers get walked twice today. That was not fully intentional, but very intentional.
Doesn't he have like 6 straight games with a blast?
I was going to say, when you, set a Red Sox
Used to
record.
have 6 games. with a
Bum!
blast.
And I would believe that Betts and Kyle Tucker, they are really good, obviously, at playing baseball, but they have a good eye as well, which leads to walks. So I'm going to say this is fair, that those 3 together have more walks than the entire Miami Marlins roster.
I've been having this conversation. I've decided the best player in baseball is Mookie Betts. I've just decided that. I'm going to live and die by that. That's what I think. Because of Mookie being in this conversation alone, I will say that this is fair. Boy, the Marlins are just bad. And they decided to be bad in a hurry. It's a little, it feels a little like collusion at this point.
Who did
Like,
they just
hold my
beat?
beer, we've decided to be worse than you expected us to be.
They just won last night against someone, and it was surprising to see. I'm trying to think of who the hell that was.
Trading Arias kind of signals exactly what they're doing, right?
They beat the Brewers last night. That's what it was. And then promptly lost to them today. So guess that evens that out.
All right, guys, it is actually foul. Close, though. I was trying to stump you on that one. So the total walks for Judge, Tucker, and Betts is actually 114, while the Miami Marlins have 118. Obviously, 4 less, but that is far too effing
Wait a sec.
close.
Those 3 guys have walked 114 times already?
Between the 3 of them. Literally
That's insane.
40 for Aaron Judge, 40 for Kyle Tucker, and 34 for Mookie Betts.
Should we be on like Bonds 2002 watch here?
I mean, if we're and now you don't even have to throw the pitches. Intentional base on balls are so easy. It's possible.
That's insane.
Hey, and I'm going to say watch out for those Marlins. They won 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. They won 2 out of 3 against the Mets. They might not be that bad, but they're still pretty bad.
Joe Fisher does not speak for everyone on this show.
They traded Arias. How could they not be that bad after that?
They're bad.
You're full of it.
The Mets are bad too. How do you lose 2 out of 3 against the Marlins?
Boy,
Dear
Starling
God, man.
Marte's had himself a rough couple days.
I mean, that whole team. It's a struggle. All right, on to Fair or Foul, number 3. So this is because of the recent revelation in the Shohei Ohtani betting case. Of course, his interpreter going to be going to jail for a long time. Ippei Mizuhara, he's pleading guilty, going to have to pay back a bunch of money, going to be in the slammer for a while. Names connected to Mizuhara's bookie starting to leak out. One of those, former Angel David Fletcher.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah, and he is now being investigated by Major League
He's
Baseball.
my neighbor.
Oh, wow. Stop.
I'm
I was like, wait, what? Like,
You had me at first.
Just
You
down
saw
the
my
road?
face. I was like, wait, dude, you actually know him?
I was just surprised that I knew the name of this pretty below average player.
oh, yeah. No, it was kind of you got to be a baseball fan to know him.
Another fall guy. Another fall guy for Shohei.
I don't know about that. I don't know how connected to Shohei he is other than the bookie himself. But, guys, it did get me thinking, fair or foul, we are going to hear about more former players connected to the bookie in the Shohei Ohtani case. Fair or foul, we are going to hear more players that are former players, that are connected to this bookie in the Shohei Ohtani case.
I will say that I will start. I'll go with foul. It doesn't shock me that there was somebody else on the team, but I do not expect to hear more names outside of that organization. I just think when it comes to gambling, I know we've seen NFL players get busted for it, some basketball players dabbling in it. Baseball is the one league that you're taking a real big risk because the precedent has already been set. And so I will say foul on this, that I think a lot of people have, for the most part, learned just don't do it.
It says here, David Fletcher also went to UC Riverside with Ippei Mizuhara at the same time. Also lived in Japan the same time as Ippei Mizuhara did too.
Okay.
No, that's not true at all, actually. I hope this is fair. I want a good gambling scandal in the MLB.
Right as baseball is kind of starting to
Yeah.
hit a stride of being something great, then it
Right-
just gets torn down by
Right
a
as the
terrible,
story
terrible
was
scandal.
about to get buried too. Like it was basically like, all right, Ipe, he's gonna get charged. Yeah, all right, this is all over. And then it's like, oh, but did you hear
But
about
is
this
it?
other guy that was an angel that was also using the same bookie? Now it's probably not. I mean, this was a Newport Beach-based illegal bookie, I believe. So
Oh yeah, he was a Real Housewives husband, I believe, or something
Oh.
like that.
how about that?
Yeah.
Fun fact there.
TV star.
There's your baseball useless fact of the broadcast. But so that probably it's just a proximity thing. Like this dude, Anaheim player, Newport Beach,
Yeah.
like, you know. But no, I want this to be fair. I want this to be. I want this to get ugly. I want heads to turn. I want people to roll in their graves. Selig. Give me
Not
dudes
dead.
juicing again.
Not dead.
Give me a betting scandal. But Selig's not dead.
Not dead.
I could have sworn he died. I'm thinking of David Stern.
Yeah, I was like, you're thinking of the other. sport
Definitely
there.
David Stern.
Not dead.
Yeah.
Paul Tagliabue, dead.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that happened like 5-6 years ago now. God, it's been a little bit. I would not be surprised if there were more names, but little tinfoil hat on my end of this. I think if we do see more names, they're going to be below average players. There's going to be no major name connected to this scandal. It will be like Josh Wilson for the Seattle Mariners or some, like just journeyman that got to play a year in the bigs. That's it.
No.
Bud Selig, though, definitely looking old. When you have random Band-Aids on your ear, that's when you know you've hit a level of old. That it's no turning back.
Yeah,
Could be any day now.
You're looking old and you don't care at that point.
Yeah.
Band-Aid on the face. All right, somebody else that might need a Band-Aid on their face, guys, is the Seattle Mariners. They are playing well, but also not playing well at the same time. They are 27-22 on the year so far.
That sounds like 54% to me.
I think it's a little more than 54%, actually 55.1%. So middle finger to you. They're above Jerry DePoto's projection.
Exceeding expectations.
God, it's so sad. Anyways,
First place.
they're in first place, and they would be winning the wild card if they weren't in first place in the AL West. However, they are not statistically such a great team. Their batting is near the bottom of the league. Still striking out a ton, even after getting rid of the guys that they said were striking out in Teoscar Hernandez and Eugenio Suarez last year. But once again, they are first in the AL West still. So guys, fair or foul, I'm trying to marry these ideas in my head, but the Mariners are the best worst team in baseball. And let me just preface this before you guys get going with this. So they have the 24th lowest batting average in all of baseball. And among those teams, none of them below them are in the playoffs or close to being in the playoffs. And I think just slightly above them, you start to see like the Cubs and the Twins, maybe the Cardinals. But the Mariners, out of all batting averages, are the lowest qualifier to get into the playoffs. So are they the best worst team in the league?
Woof. I could take this. I'm going to say
for
fair
it.
on that.
Yeah.
They have 188 runs scored. That is good for
22nd in their
22nd in the league.
Yikes.
The Marlins. Like I said, watch out for the Marlins, all right? They have more runs than the Mariners, for God's sakes. The Reds, who have been playing terrible baseball lately, they have more runs than the Mariners. The Tigers, the Giants, who can't get runs across the plate. The Mets have more runs. The Angels, for God's sakes. What are we doing?
I'm not there. I still like the starting five too much. I think Cleveland has something to say about being the worst, best team. Name me 3 offensive players on the Cleveland Guardians.
Josh Naylor.
Steve Kwan. Kyle
On the DL.
Kyle Manzardo.
Oh, God.
That's an
walked
easy
into that
one, cheater.
I walked into that one.
Hey, Naylor's hit a lot of home runs for him this year.
Yeah, which Naylor brother do you want, huh?
Dang it, I wasn't sure if you'd remember theirs too. But I like the Mariners staff more than I like Cleveland staff. I really don't like the Brewers at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm not ready to write off the Mariners as the worst, best team in baseball. I think there's other people. The stats might back it up, but I still like that starting rotation, and the bullpen is better than most people's bullpen. And Julio will figure it out at some point.
Besides the Rays, who are even 500 and have 200 runs scored exactly on the season, they are the only team with an above 500 record with less than 200 runs scored.
Ouch.
Not good, Bob.
Not backing me up here.
Not good, Bob.
All right, that is Fair or Foul. We do it every single Tuesday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll wrap this bad boy up. Hot Corner, 10 in the Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and now Window Nation brings you the window into the Fan. On-demand YouTube video shorts with your favorite fan shows and hosts. The window into
Oh, boy, today feels like a Friday for me, and I can't wait, I'm telling you.
I mean, it is your Friday,
It
right?
is my Friday, and I'm on vacation tomorrow.
Oh, hell yeah. Hit some high lifes. Hit it hard.
Well, are you on vacation tomorrow or technically the day that is your Monday?
Ooh, good
No,
point. Now I'm
it's-
traveling, though. Does that not count?
No, I think vacation starts whenever the streak of days off
If you
starts.
Yeah, if you travel on your day off, are you still not vacationing? Or do
Yeah.
I gotta wait till Friday till I can say I'm on vacation?
Now I'm on it. Like once you actually get
yeah,
to
like
said
Friday would
destination.
be my Monday.
I think the line of demarcation of when you are on vacation is as soon as you walk your ass out that building and you are done with that work day
Right.
on your Friday.
Yeah, that
So we
feeling-
are 10 minutes away.
You're getting close.
This ain't work, buddy. Come on now.
I mean, I get paid and I have to like do stuff.
You get paid.
That's a shock.
You get
That's a
paid
good
for
one.
this?
That's a good one.
What the hell? I need to talk to my agent that I don't have.
Be your own agent.
Maybe that's why you don't get paid, but
Yeah. Need to talk to Marvin Harrison Jr. and see what he does. It seems like
Jamie Moyer was also his own agent.
seems
Did
like it's
very
working out well.
I'm gonna go with
Or Russell Okung, didn't he get paid in all Bitcoin or something for his last contract?
that would be so terrible.
well. If he left it in there, it's doing just fine again.
Yeah,
but there was about a year and a half. Of,
yeah, depends on the month. Yeah,
iffy
as long as
time.
he's stacking those sats, baby.
I'm gonna go with the fact that once I step out of this building and start to drive home, that I am on vacation.
Hell yeah.
Fine. I see that you just view this as just work. Whatever, dude. I thought we were having fun. I thought this was a good time. That you didn't have to be here. You know, you chose to be here.
It is true.
This
I
is more-
chose
This
to
is more
be
so
here.
a hobby.
But I also want to remind you all
Whatever, dude.
that you choose to go to your job as well. I sometimes have to say this to some of my employees. Hey, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here.
I choose to pay my bills and not
Well,
be
yeah,
homeless.
that's
If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here.
Well,
you
they
can go home right now. I mean, you can't come back tomorrow.
Life is full
but
of
you
choices.
can go home.
yeah, but they oh come on. See, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. There's this
Just like you can go home.
Yeah.
I can fire you if you make that choice.
yeah, you can, but at the
You
same
made
time,
the choice, not me.
you still have to earn money, so you may not have to work there, but you got to work somewhere.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions, what the
Oh,
hell?
if it isn't you, my old nemesis. The old calling me out on poor choices I made in the past.
All right. What is the town in the Ho that you will be visiting? I want to look this place up.
I will be outside of the town of Lowell.
Lowell?
Lowell. I'll be about
Lowell?
30 miles northeast of Lowell.
Unincorporated community. That's how you know it. No, it's deep.
Yeah.
They're not even incorporated.
I think they have a sign that says like population 39, but the 9 is crossed out and it's an 8.
That's awesome.
They're not
Somebody
even
died.
Lowell Inc. They're not even incorporated. They are unincorporated. Yeah, I'm seeing a population of 30 here, brother.
You can also look up the town of Lolo,
Lolo.
but I believe Lolo is in Montana.
Not what? Okay, not
Yeah.
Rebecca Lobo, but a town called Lolo.
Lolo.
Okay.
Wait, are you going there?
Lolo. No, it's just the other closest town to me.
There's not. I mean, I'm looking at a map of Lowell, Idaho right now. It seems like there's a good chunk of land between Lowell and Montana.
Yeah.
You're saying there's no other, not even an unincorporated community in
Nope.
between you and Lolo?
Nope, there's a ranger station.
Maybe that's why it's called Lolo, is because they were just like, well, this is the only other town.
Shoulda got
We just left
Lolo,
Lowell. What do we call
Lolo,
this? I don't know. Lolo.
What's that Lolo Pass?
There's Powell Junction. There's
That's not a town.
Good thing you're white.
I am not getting in any sort of town from that picture image at all. Lolo Hot Springs.
Yep.
All right. I'll
Yeah,
take
dude.
your word for it.
We be in the middle of nowhere, man. We just be kicking it.
Dear God, that is deliverance right there for you.
Yeah, man, we're just kicking it.
Out
Just
in the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest.
God's country.
This is God's country.
Not the Nez Perce gods,
Sounds like a truck commercial.
but the white people gods.
Man, that is a part of Idaho that I don't think I'd want to dabble in.
Yeah, it takes 9.5 hours to get there.
Why again?
So I'm gonna do some rafting.
So this is okay. So it's not Boise rafting. This is Idaho. Has it always been Idaho rafting, or has it been Boise rafting?
Well,
as
Boise is in Idaho.
Well, I know that,
There's
but
a
I'm
lot
just
of
saying,
rafting
like,
in Idaho.
when
I've
you
been
do-
to Boise in like 10 years.
when you do this rafting stuff,
I go there.
it's always been here.
When I go to Idaho, I go there.
So the last 8-9 years or whatever you've been doing this since I've known you, it's always been here.
There, baby.
Oh.
Have you all ever done that on the Snake River too? Very fun.
I've been down to the Snake, yeah.
yeah,
Some solid
I
bass
also
fishing on the
lived in
Snake.
Pullman, Washington, which is not far from the Snake.
it's true.
Well, I guess I just wasn't paying attention to you over the last 8-9 years.
Sounds
'cause,
about white.
Well, I don't know. All I know, Boise, again, to me, it's just the state of Boise. It's
Dude.
not even the state of Idaho.
Dude, Boise's like 5 hours from where I'm going.
Yeah, you can't forget Coeur d'Alene, bro.
Oh, that's true. Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene's like 4 hours from where I'm going.
Coeur d'Alene. That is just a boot, scoot, and boogie from Spokane. That's like 45 minutes from there.
That's my hometown.
Coeur d'Alene, or
Spokane.
I was gonna say boot, scoot, and boogie's a town in Idaho.
No.
That'd be cool.
No.
We'll have fun. Don't drown.
No, I won't. It's supposed to be rainy.
Class 3, Class 4. What we talking about here, bud?
We got 4 Class 5s on that bad boy.
Oh, damn!
Water's 40 degrees.
I almost dropped a curse word right there. That's what Class 5s will do to you. They'll make you hit the drop button.
Yeah, and this year we always do a food challenge. This year we are going to attempt
999.
No, we're not doing 999. We are going to do dumplings and fried rice with some sake.
So what's the challenge? Like
Oh, it's just
9
just-
dumplings, 9 servings.
No,
of
no, no,
fried
no.
rice?
It's just can you make dumplings
Well-
in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, getting to stay together like
Yep,
that.
yep.
I don't know. It was a little bit of water or egg yellow.
Cooking out
some
there
egg
in the
yolk.
middle of nowhere.
I was going to
Just
start calling it egg yolks. Egg yellow.
egg yellow.
Well,
The
good for you.
yellows.
Sake, have a good time with that. That could turn into a mess real quickly.
I'm sure it will be a mess.
Have you ever had soju before?
No, but I know what it is. I would like to, but
not
I have
bad.
not had it.
It's not
It's
bad.
good though.
That could get dangerous as well. But I mean, sake. Also, don't serve it warm.
Well, there's warm sake and cold sake.
Yeah,
warm
there's-
sake is no good.
That's your opinion.
No, it's the opinion of sake connoisseurs out there is that a warm sake is trying to mask and hide the impurities of the sake. Sake should not be warm.
Guys, Trust Tree, I have literally had sake once in my life. Tell me what it tastes like, please, because I don't remember. I don't know.
It's like a rice liquor.
It's like
Okay.
nothing. It's like I remember the first now
A little bit like tea.
I shouldn't say it's nothing because I remember having one time that was rough, but for the most part, it's just super airy, and it almost seems like you are drinking nothing. Like, yeah, you get a little bit of tinge, alcohol flavor to it, but for the most part, it's just so light. It's almost like drinking like air alcohol, if that makes sense.
The food challenge is because we have one set of people cook one night and the other set cook the other night, and I have no idea what they're cooking. They don't know we're cooking either unless they listen to this stupid show. But I doubt that. So we'll see what they cook, and I'll report back when I get back.
So you'll be out there on the Middle Fork Clearwater River.
The Locksaw River.
Oh, the Locksaw. Man, I've heard about those rapids. Be
Which
careful,
is Nez
brother.
Perce for big water.
Nez Perce means big water?
No. Locksaw in Nez Perce means big water.
Oh.
Lewis and Clark walked their canoes down this river because they were like, nope.
Hey, learn something new every day, baby.
Damn, that's what I'm talking about. Watch those Class 5s out there and lol.
Go
This is
Tigers.
God's country.
All right, that'll do it for us. We'll be back next week for Joe Fisher, Jordan Schultz behind the glass. I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something I would do.
If the police have officers who specialize in DUI arrests, shouldn't you?